Hello everyone, welcome back to the tutorials. So today we are going to discuss about the soil mechanics subject. So you can see over here. So few of the points which we have left out in module number 1 and module number 2 we are going to cover today. So you can see soil structure, it is a basic uh, uh, component of soil mechanics, and you need to study the soil structure uh, as an introduction to soil mechanics. So in your syllabus particularly they have mentioned about the soil structure. So I am moving back to the soil structures. So it is very simple thing. It doesn't depends upon any of the points in module. So I thought to teach it individually. So you can see over here soil structure. The soil structure is generally referred as arrangement of soil particles. So to understand the arrangement of soil particles, we need to consider shape and orientation of soil particles also. The nature and properties of the soil water and forces of interaction between soil particles and soil water. So these all the things we need to consider to deeply understand the arrangement of soil particles. So what are the things we have to consider is shape and orientation of the soil particles, nature and properties of the soil water, forces of interaction between soil particles and soil water. So these all the points we need to consider. The engineering behavior is very much depending upon the soil structure. That is why we need to study about this soil structure. So you can see the following are the soil structures recognized from various soil deposits. Okay. So what are the recognized types of soil structure? You can see over here. So in case of fine grained soil it is. So for fine grained soil, single grained structure, second one honeycomb structure, third one flocculated structure and dispersed structure, fourth one is coarse grained skeleton structure and cohesive matrix structure. So these are the four recognized types of soil structure in fine grained soil. So let us study one by one. So what are the points I am going to cover is uh, what are the properties of that particular soil structure. For example, what are the properties of single grained soil structure, honeycomb soil structure, and again how these structures are formed. Single grained honeycomb, how these structures are formed, we are going to study today. So you can see over here single grained structure. This type of structure will be found in case of coarse grained soil deposits when such a soil settle of suspension in soil. So whenever soil particles are suspended in a water, they are going to settle when there is a slow movement of water. So in that case, the particles settle independently on each other. So particles settle independently on each other. So in such a cases, the single grained soil structure is formed. So the major forces causing their deposit is gravitational forces. So due to gravitational forces, these soil particles are going to settle. Further, you can see honeycomb structure. So this type of structure is associated with silt deposits. So you can see initially single grained structures are associated with coarse grained soils. Okay, so these are associated with silt deposits. Okay, so now you can see over here when silt particles settle out of suspension, the major forces causing their deposition is gravitational forces. So due to gravitational forces, their deposition is going to occur. In addition to that, surface forces may play very important role in settlement. So surface tension or surface forces may play very important role in settlement. So you can see when this type of structures are going to form, you can see the diagram, it is honeycombed structure. So when this type of structures are going to form, you can see over here while settling, when particles reaches the lower region, when particles reaches the lower region of suspension, they will be attracted by already settled and neighborhood particles. So you can see whenever the particles are settling, they are attracted by already settled and neighborhood particles, leading to form a arch-shaped structure. So leading to form arch-shaped structure. The combination of number of such arches will form honeycomb structure. So number of such arches are going to form the honeycomb structure. So they will have high wide ratio when remolded. When remolded, they will lose large amount of volume. So they are having high wide ratio. Next type of structure is flocculated structure and dispersed structure. So you can see first one, flocculated. There are two types of clay deposits. In case of flocculated structure, there will be edge to edge, edge to face contact between the particles. So you can see edge to edge or else edge to face. So you can see edge, this is the edge and this is a face. So either the contact will be from edge to edge or else the contact will be from edge to face. So this is the case when in case of flocculated structure. This formation is due to net electrical forces between the adjacent particles at the time of deposition. So it is due to the charges. So every particle is having some amount of charge. So due to those charges, the settlement may occur and edge to edge connection and edge to face contact may occur. Okay. So at the time of deposit being attracted, so due to that electrical forces they are being attracted. These are heavy, these are having heavier wide ratio. So there is a high wide ratio in case of flocculated structures also. Dispersed or oriented structure, the particles will have face to face contact. So in case of dispersed or oriented structures, this type of formation is due to net electrical forces between adjacent particles while deposition being repulsive in nature. So whenever the deposition is being repulsive in nature due to edge adjacent forces, these are going to settle down like this. So you can see due to repulsive forces, these edge to edge or face to face, they are not at all going to get connected. So there is some repulsive force between the particles, so they are going to get separated little bit all the time. Next one, coarse grained skeleton structure and cohesive matrix structure. So there are two types of structure is found in composite soils, and the properties depending upon the fraction of coarse and fine grains. So in case of composite soils, there are two types of structure which are found. First one is coarse grained skeleton structure. So these can be found in case of composite soil in which coarse grained fraction is greater than fine grained fraction. So whenever the coarse grained fraction is greater than fine grained fraction, uh, coarse grained skeleton structures are going to form. The coarse grained uh, particles will form skeleton with particles to particles contact, and voids between them is occupied by fine grained soil. So you can see coarse grained particles are forming a skeleton structure, and in between those coarse grained particles, the fine particles are going to occupy the place. Now cohesive matrix structure. So this can be found in case of composite soil in which fine grained fraction is greater than coarse grained fraction. So initially you can see in case of coarse grained skeleton structure, coarse grained particles were greater than fine grained particles. But here fine grained particles are greater than coarse grained particles. So it is called as cohesive matrix structure. So in this case, uh, coarse grained particles will be found embedded in fine fraction and will be prevented for having particle to particle contact. So you can see coarse grained particles are not at all having particle to particle contact here. So fine grained particles are coarse grained particles are embedded in fine grained particles. That's why they prevent the particle to particle contact in case of coarse grained soil. So this is what about the soil structure. So in your syllabus specifically they have mentioned about the soil structure. That's why I have covered this soil structure. So what I am going to do further is I'm going to solve a little more problem on basic relations between the soil particles. Okay, so as per the demand, I am going to execute another lecture for basic uh, examples on basic relation between the properties. Okay, so this problem we have already solved. You can see this problem, second problem we have already solved in the previous lecture. So I will move to the third problem. I guess even we have solved the third problem also. So let us move to the fourth problem. So this is very important and very interesting problem. So these all the problems are from previous year question paper, so you can go through it. So what they have given in fourth problem, you can read. So in earthen dam, which is under construction, the bulk unit weight is 16.5 kilonewton per meter cube at a water content of 11%. So what they say, at water content of 11%, bulk unit weight is 16.5 kilonewton per meter cube. If water content is to be, if the water content has to be increased to 15%, means already 11% water content is there, we need to increase this 11% water content to 15%. Compute the quantity of water to be added per meter cube of soil. Assume no change in wide ratio. Determine the degree of saturation at the water content. Take G is equal to 2.7. So you can see mu B they have given, that is 16.5 kilonewton per meter cube at water content of 11%. G is equal to 2.7 they have given, mu W is equal to 9.9.81. Even though if they have not given, we have to take it as a default. Okay, so what we have to find, amount of water to be added to rise the water content to 15%. Already 11% is there, we have to rise it to 15%. So degree of saturation is equal to what at water content of 15%. Now amount of water to be added for 15%, to rise the water content to 15%, we need to find out. So you can see mu D is equal to mu B divided by 1 plus water content. So at 11%, what is the dry unit weight, we are going to find out. So why we are finding dry unit weight, I am going to tell you further. So just check it once. So you can see dry unit weight in this case is 14.86 kilonewton per meter cube. So same way we have substituted. Remember, while substituting, you should not have to substitute water content in percentage, you have to substitute it in fractions. Okay, so we'll move further. Mu D is equal to weight of soil solids divided by total volume. So total volume is equal to 1. So they have asked for 1 meter cube. So total volume is equal to 1. So weight of soil solids, we are going to get it as 14.86 kilonewton per meter cube. So once we got weight of soil solids, we can easily calculate weight of water. How we can calculate? So water content is equal to weight of water divided by weight of soil solids. So weight of soil solids we know, water content is 0.11 we know, weight of water is 1.635 kilonewton. Water already exists, this much amount of water is already existed in the soil, because you can see over here the water content is 11% by initially water content is 11%. That means this much weight of water is present in the soil already. To rise the water content to 15%, the amount of water needed we need to find out. So for 15%, what is the amount of water, total amount of water I am telling you. So at 11% this much amount of water is required, for 15% this much amount of water is required. So same way as they said, there is no change in wide ratio, there is no change in weight of soil solids. So in at any case the weight of soil solids will not change, it doesn't depends upon the wide ratio. So I'm going to substitute same weight of soil solids over here. So I'm going to find out water content, total water content and 15% amount. So 2.23 kilonewton is the total water content at 15%. So water content at 11% is this much, water content at 15% is this much. So already 11% is there. Additional water I have to add up to rise the water content to 15%. So what I am going to do, amount of water to be added to increase the water content to 50%. Total water needed for 15% minus total water already present. Already present means 11% water content is there. Already present means 1.635 kilonewton. So total amount of water to be added to increase the water content to 15% is 0.594 kilonewton, that is 594 liters. Okay, I hope you have understood. Just to clear your doubts, I'll just discuss these things. You can see over here the water which is already present is 11%. So from 11% we have to increase the water to 15%. Okay, so from 11% to 15%. So total water required in a soil to make the water content 11% is this much. So this is total water required for 11%. So total water from 0 to 11, if I want to rise, this much amount of water is required. From 0 to 15 I have to rise, this much amount of water is required. So but already 11% is there, so I have to rise it to 15%. So only 12, 13, 14, 15. So 4% of water I have to rise. So amount of water to be added to rise the water content to 15% is this minus this. Okay, so it is going to give us the water content required to be added. Okay, hope you have understood. So further few of another problems also like the same type of problems we are going to solve. So just you can see over here an undisturbed specimen of a clay. Next problem, an undisturbed specimen of a clay was tested in laboratory and following results were obtained. So weight is equal to 2.1 Newton. Undisturbed specimen of clay we are testing, weight we have found out as 2.1 Newton. Oven dried weight is 1.75 Newton. Specific gravity is 2.7. What was the total volume of original undisturbed specimen, assuming that specimen was 50% saturated? So you can see weight they have given, that is 2.1 Newton. So weight of dry, so oven dry weight they have given. So when there is a saturated weight we have obtained as 2.1, oven dried weight they have given as 1.75. So oven dried weight is nothing but weight of soil solids. There will be no weight of water which is present. So it is 1.75 Newton. So just I have converted it to kilonewton. So G they have given as 2.7. So degree of saturation is 0.5 they have given. So mu W is 9.81 kilonewton per meter cube we have to assume. So what they are asking, what is the total volume? What is the original undisturbed sample? Total volume of original undisturbed sample. So we know that weight of water is equal to weight of water content is equal to weight of water divided by weight of soil solid. So how I can able to find out weight of water? You can see. So this is the wet weight of specimen and this is a dry weight of specimen. So if I subtract dry weight of specimen in wet weight of specimen, that is 2.1 minus 1.75, I am going to get the amount of water which is present in the soil. So divided by weight of soil solids, so that is 1.75 is equal to 0.2, that is 20%. So E is equal to W into G divided by S. So E I have found out. So why I am doing all this? Because you can see over here, so I need to get a dry unit weight. So if I get dry unit weight and if I am having weight of soil solids, I can easily find out the volume. That's why I need to get dry unit weight. So to get the dry unit weight, I need G is given, I need E. So to calculate E, I need water content. Okay, so that's why I am calculating this water content. So you can see E is equal to water content into G divided by degree of saturation, that is 0.2 into 2.7 divided by 0.5, which is going to give us 1.08. Mu D is equal to G into mu W divided by 1 plus E. This is the formula which we are having. So dry unit weight also we are having. So G into mu W divided by 1 plus E is equal to 2.7 into 9.8 divided by 1 plus 1.08, that is 12.72 kilonewton per meter cube. So you can see over here mu D is equal to weight of soil solids divided by total volume, which is going to give us 12.72. So total volume is equal to 0.1376 into 10 to the power minus 3 meter cube. So what they have asked in the problem, they have asked in the problem to find out the total volume V. So to find out total volume V, we need the unit weight, that is mu D, because mu D is equal to volume weight of soil solids divided by total volume. So to calculate this mu D, I need E. So to calculate this E, I need water content. So like this reverse engineering we have to do while solving the problems. Okay, I hope you have understood what I thought. So in next session, what we are going to do, we are going to solve a few more problems on this particular basic relations, and we are going to end up with this units. Okay, thank you.